when you go in to where you're going to hunt, um, it's extremely important to shoot an azimuth when you get out of the truck. And I don't know if you know what that is, but you basically point your compass at like for you, you got mountains. So pick a peak that you're going to be able to see throughout the duration of your hunt, the tallest thing out there, and shoot an azimuth to it. Let's say it's 180 degrees.
Right.
Okay. So when you're out hunting, if you point your compass at that peak and it doesn't read 180, camp is not behind you.
Right.
So what you do is you get to a point, whether you have to go, left or right, and you maneuver yourself to where that peak is at 180,
180.
and camp is straight back.
Yeah.
I'm a big terrain associator. Like if I have a topo map, I can look at the topo map and I can say, okay, that hill is there, that hill is there, just based on how far apart they are, where the saddles are, and all that stuff. Turn my map and get oriented and go, okay, camp's back that way.
Yeah.
So I also am a big fan of flagging close to camp for about the first
Yeah.
mile. I use flagging tape, um, and I'll tie, every about 200 yards until I'm, within a mile of camp. That way, if we miss camp by a little bit, but we know we've gone too far, you just start doing a big circle or a grid. You'll find flagging leads you back. I also start with a bigger chunk at close to camp and I cut it a little shorter. So when you find your flagging, you walk to the next one. And if it's longer, you're getting closer to camp. If it's shorter, so
Makes sense.
yeah.
I just had somebody send me as a gift. They're actually pretty cool, but they're design trail markers they're orange. They're about 6 inches long, but they're also reflective, which I kind of
Mhm.
like. I haven't looked into. I know they make the reflective flagging tape. I don't know if it'd be worth looking into that, but I
Right.
I carry flagging. I don't use it as much as I should.
Right.
All right, so gear, next step, what is the most important things to consider when you're preparing for a multi-day hunt? I'm going to list a couple things I said or I have written down here, and then we could kind of go back and talk about them. But
Well,
I have, was
real
that?
quick with gear.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when we talk to people about weight,
Yeah,
weight is the number one issue. Um, and know your limits. If you're not in shape, you should probably try to get it lighter.
yeah,
If you're a stud, you could maybe carry a little bit more, but mechanical injury affects everybody. One slip on a rock, whatever. Um, like for my perspective, I use a TP tent. I use a Peaks trekking pole TP tent because it's light. It's multi-purpose. I have trekking poles. They also set my tent up.
right,
But a TP has a point at the top. Hot
right.
air rises, right? So if you have
Yep,
a dome tent, then all your hot air is sitting on the top. With the TP, the hot air can only go so far up before it doesn't have anywhere to go and it starts radiating downward. So that's why I make decisions like that.
yeah,
Um, they're also extremely quick to set up.
yes.
So
I just
um,
switched to an Argali that I got to use finally this September on my moose hunt. And that wasn't the first time I'd set it up, but the first time I stayed in it multiple nights like that. And I
mm,
definitely was a fan of how quick and easy that thing was to set up
yeah,
compared to what I've used in the past.
yeah. Knives, when I go way far back, I'm a razor knife guy because of weight. Um, and time. If you're processing a moose or an elk, you're gonna be in there for a couple hours.
Yes.
And I don't need to spend an hour or two sharpening, throughout the entire process. So I'm a razor knife guy. If I'm hunting from the truck, I bring a fixed blade or two um, to process an animal or to work with. But I
Gear
think when it
snob.
comes
So I
down,
normally bring two or three knives, normally one razor blade, one fixed blade, and then a camp knife or
we're talking about when
a
you go to
general knife.
firehouse stubs, not even when you're hunting.
No,
So
that's all the time. That's all the time.
right.
um, Dang it. You said something that made me I had something I was gonna add to that, but,
So
um
with gear, the big thing is a trick for hot spots. Wear a set of dress socks or silk socks underneath your socks, whatever socks you pick.
Yep,
It will reduce friction. It's a trick we learned in the military.
yep,
Um, wear your dress socks. It doesn't add any insulative property. It adds zero weight, um, and it'll reduce friction. But keep in mind, your boots aren't broken for 50 to 100 miles. So
yep,
don't go buy a brand new pair of Zamberlans for your hunt and go hunt. So,
Well, and same thing with your backpack too. Like when you get a pack, you need to make sure it's fitted properly. Almost
mhm,
every manufacturer now has videos online, so you can, even if you can't go somewhere that will help you fit it, you can look and see. Like most of them have marks that are supposed to be at the top of your shoulder. You're supposed to get the lumbar pad in your lumbar instead of like down on your tailbone or way up in by your shoulder blades. Get that stuff fitted and go for some hikes because you're going to need to figure out little tricks. Like I know for me, I like my center strap to be narrower than a lot of like my buddies because I like uh, my shoulder straps to be a little bit more in the middle of my chest.
mhm,
So I have to have longer tails on the bottom. So I have to adjust that the right way so that that sits more comfortably.
yeah,
Where the guys I hunt with, they all have really wide. Well, not everybody, but several of the guys I hunt with, they have their shoulder straps really wide apart. And so that's how they like it. So they've got those sides really ripped down tight. And so, yeah, your packs, like you said, packs, boots, all that stuff, even your shelter. I mean, really, before you go out on a 10-day hunt where you could be putting yourself in jeopardy, risking your life potentially, going through true survival situations, even if it's just camping out in your backyard for a couple of days, you should set it up. You know, there's a storm coming. Oh, great. Go set your tent up in the backyard, camp out for 2 days, see what keeps you warm, see if you get cold, see if your guy points worked. You know, if you've got like up here, we don't get very much wind. It's really hard to test for wind because here in the Tanana Valley, there's very little wind. Like we get a 20-mile-an-hour wind, and everybody thinks that we've got crazy high winds. It's
right,
just super mellow, and so it's hard to test for that. But if you know like you're getting a snowstorm or rainstorm or something, you got to test that stuff out because yeah, you need to know how your setup works and how to do it too in bad situations. I had a trip where I was bear hunting solo, and it was August, or no, June, sorry, it was June in Alaska, so it's daylight all day. I got off work at 5, went home, packed my gear, drove 3 hours. So I got there and it was a rainstorm. So I didn't even start hiking until I think midnight. Hiked until I was stumbling over my own feet and was like, oh, this is dangerous. I'm in a bad situation at this point because I'm not able to really pay attention to what I'm doing. I need to stop right now, set up a camp. So I found the closest flat spot I could, set up my tent. And that was, exhausted at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and out in the middle of the woods in a spot I didn't know. And I needed to be able to do that with just my headlamp. So being able to be familiar enough with your gear that you can do those kinds of things and wearing those boots in so you know how to tie them right, and that's like again going back to doing some research. There's a ton of different ways mountaineering folks and backcountry guys tie their boots to make heel locks and all sorts of stuff. Like there's
yeah,
one way, I don't even remember the name of it, but there's a technical name. I think it's a heel lock that I found for my boots that I love, and it's the most comfortable. My sheep hunting partner Eric doesn't like it. He's tried doing it a couple times, said it's not comfortable, and so he ties his boots a completely different way. So that's all stuff that you're going to learn as you do stuff, and you're going out and actually using your gear. So
right. So one thing I wanted to bring up, you brought up pack straps.
yep,
So always adjust your pack under load. So
yep,
when you fit your pack, fill it up because it's not going to fit the same dry as it does loaded. And the reason that a lot of people should have their straps further inward is because when you walk under weight, you lean forward. When you have your pack on, you're leaning forward to counteract the weight, the 70, 80 pounds you got on your back.
yep,
So if your straps are out here, you're fighting with your back and your shoulders to keep yourself forward. Whereas if your straps are inward more, your shoulders are more free. So you're going to
yep,
fatigue yourself a lot faster if you have your straps out on your shoulders because you are going to have to lean into the walk.
yeah.
So
That
just
makes sense.
one point.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to kind of go over was kind of important considerations. And so things I put down is like food. We already went over the kind of satellite communicator, your emergency shelter, emergency fire, and your flashlight. stuff. And then if you have them, rechargeable devices. So, like if you're carrying an inReach or something, how are you going to keep those charged? So, when you're looking at food, what are the biggest things you're looking at for how you kind of build out a food kit for a 3 day hunt, or and is it the same for a 3 day hunt as a 12-day hunt?
Yeah, so, um, calories, calories. I try to get as much calories and as much protein as I can in the least amount of weight, but I always understand if I'm going 10 miles in, you have to understand that you're gonna be at a calorie deficit. There is no way that you're gonna replenish all the calories you burn on a 10-day, 10-mile backcountry hunt. So you need to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Everybody's body reacts differently under a calorie deficit, and that's one thing they do in the military with us is they teach us, what it's like, how you feel. When you're at a calorie deficit, you need to be drinking a lot more water. So having a ability to purify water, because I do not pack much water in with me.
Yeah.
Um, and that comes into scouting too. Know where you're going and know what resources are there. Um, but for food, I go buy Mass Tech high calorie protein powder, and you're talking 1,000 calories in one serving
Okay.
in a
Wow.
cup this big.
Wow.
Um, and I make that shake, twice a day. So I'm getting 2,000 calories in a, 3/10 of a pound. So um,
Are you just
the other
mixing
thing
that
with
in like a Nalgene, or how are you? What are you mixing that into?
water.
Just in a Nalgene, or are you putting it in like a water bladder?
Yeah, I always bring a camp cup. It's a extremely lightweight camp cup, um, because I have two different ways to filter water. I've got like a life straw style device, and then I have one that you can actually dump water in and hang, and it'll drip into whatever you're going to do. But it's a big, it weighs nothing when there's no water in it, but it's
Right.
2 liters. So especially if you're going to be hunting with another guy, are you going to be able to purify enough water? You have a good enough source. Um, with food, field strip everything.
Yes.
Um, if you're
100%.
bringing a mountain meal, cut it open, take all the crap out that you don't need that you're just going to throw away once you're up there. We call it field stripping in the military. Like you cut your MRE open, you rip stuff apart, throw stuff away that you don't need. You don't need the fork. You just
Right.
cut a corner off of the freaking deal and squeeze it in your mouth. Like
It's
there's
actually not a
shut up.
bad idea.
I was thinking you were going somewhere else with that, but you know anything you can do because if you carry a box of forks, everybody knows what a box of forks weighs. You pick it up in the store.
Yeah.
You're going to be gone for 10 days. You're going to bring a whole box of plastic forks.
No.
You know, I'll eat with my knife if I have to, but so field strip everything. Your tent.
Yes.
Don't buy your tent, take it out of the box and put it in your pack. There is stuff in that thing that doesn't need to be there,
Yeah.
including usually your zipper bag. So, unless you're going to use that to put other stuff in and consider it a container within a container, field strip everything. Go down to the bare minimum.
No, we did that. It was funny. So Eric and I in 2020, we packed in and we didn't field strip our meals at all. Um, and even just the size of our pack difference, how much smaller we were able to get. So we did a 10-day trip in 2020 that we packed food for 12 days. And then in 2023, when we did our next sheep hunt together, when I got my ram, we were supposed to do 10 days. We ended up going in only 9 because we had a weather delay on the first day. But we packed in 11 days of food, so 2 extra days again, and we field stripped all of the main meals. I don't think we did 100% of everything food wise. We left some stuff like I had individual cheeses. I had those still wrapped and stuff. But all the mountain houses, any of the freeze dried stuff, just condensed it down into the smallest. And for me, I found that most of the time, like a mountain house meal is too much for me in the evening. I can't stomach it. I'll
Yeah.
get an upset stomach when I try to eat all of it. So what I was doing too is I was opening 2 bags of the identical kind and then splitting it into 3 even Ziplocs so that I was
Mhm.
getting 2/3 of it. So I was getting the majority of it, but I was still, you're saving that weight, saving that space, and it's a huge difference. I mean, the weight savings and then the size of our packs alone was huge
Yeah.
in comparison. So yeah, no, huge pointer there. I agree on like one of the things I found. Fritos are one of the highest calorie per ounce foods out there, and I have done several trips now, and Fritos, ironically, are one of the few things that after 12 days in the mountains, I still don't get tired of. So Fritos are always on my list. Like I've done, there were these bars that I loved that after about 6 days, I looked at those bars and I was like, I hate this. I don't even want to eat this. I'm going to shove it in
Right.
my mouth because you have to. But there have been very few things that I have found enjoyable for 12 days straight, but Fritos is one of them. And they've got good flavor. They're also an emergency fire starter, which is nice. But for calories per ounce, they've been really good. Um, I have recently, the last couple of years, gone to my lunches just being bars.
Hmm.
So I still do Mountain House for dinner. I'm still struggling with breakfast. I think I'm going to go back to my favorite breakfast has so far been just like a 2 pack of Quaker oatmeal. And I'll rip those open, like you said, shed the garbage, just pour them in a tiny little snack baggie. And then I do the Costco pre cooked bacon, and I'll take 2 pieces of the bacon, rip it in half, and then I will put those in I'll cut up a vacuum seal bag into just barely big enough that you can seal the edge of that bacon all the way around. And then when you're making your hot water for your oatmeal, I'll throw the bacon in there so that it
Hmm.
boils, gets hot, pour the hot water in your oatmeal, stir it up, rip that package open with that fresh hot bacon. And I think that's my favorite breakfast by far. So I'll do that and coffee. Um, and the bacon's got good. You're again, you're saying calories. You got your fat in there, so you got some fat. You got protein. You got good calories. The oatmeal is a little bit low. I need to look into. I think there's some protein oatmeal pre done packs that I need to check out. But lunches are kind of my big hard one. I haven't found a good lunch option yet. I've done meat and cheese. I've done peanut butter on bagels. I've done peanut butter on naan bread. I've done strictly bars, protein bars, and power bars, and all that junk. What are you finding are your favorite meals or foods to have, and what have been your least favorite foods to have?
So a lot of people won't do this, but this is how I operate. Hunting for me is like religious. So I'm out there to get a task accomplished. And in the military, we had a term called embrace the suck.
Yep.
So I just bring a lot of the same stuff. I will oftentimes eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh,
My
really?
goal is my goal is to just get the calories in my system so that I can maintain doing the thing that I'm there to do. I feel like if I were to take what would taste good for me that I would want to eat, it would be heavier.
Yeah.
If I bring enough protein powder, for 2,000 calories a day and then a bunch of little substitutes. I'm also a Frito fan, by the way, went for hunting, but I I crush it up. So it takes up less space and it's
Yep.
basically powder. And I will literally just eat it like that. Um, you can put it in like a dip while you're walking. Yeah, literally. Um, but I'm probably you do not want to go with me and say, "Hey, pack me the same amount of food," because you're not going to like it. And in all reality, I don't like it.
Right.
But I'm there, embrace the suck. It's not glamping for me. I can make myself eat because I know my body needs the food. Even if I look at what I'm eating and I don't like it, I look back at experiences I've had in the past where you're going to eat it because you need it. And things start to look a lot better the more hungry you get.
Yeah.
So, um, go to the grocery store right after dinner versus skipping lunch and right before dinner. You know,
So I guess so I have found for me, like kind of like what you're saying, I don't like stopping to eat a meal, which is why
correct.
I liked the ideas of the bars. Like I found that in the morning, I don't have a problem eating breakfast in the morning. I roll out a tent, I generally I'm sleeping in a good portion of my clothes because I'm sleeping them partially dry. So I'll sleep in my pants normally unless I'm hot, and then I'll try to hang those in the tent. But I'm like rolling out, pants on, socks on, boots on, puffy coat on, out of the tent, water in the pot, coffee, breakfast. And then while that's cooking or I'm trying to eat, I'm throwing all my stuff together. And then I like being gone for the day. If I'm going to
Mhm.
be out, I don't want to have to come back. And I don't like moose hunting because you sit a lot more moose hunting. I've found that I'm it's not as big of a thing, but like when we're sheep hunting, I don't want to stop and break out a bag and make a peanut butter sandwich and then eat a sandwich. So I went with the bars because I like the mobility of it. I like being able
Mhm.
to stay on my feet, keep moving. I'm starting to hurt a little bit and I need to eat something. I'm like, oh, I've probably gone too long without eating. Stop, pull a bar out. Or a lot of times that's what I'll put in my hip pockets is my lunch for the day. So I'll just like pull something out as I'm walking, eating it, sipping out of my straw. And, and then the next, just keep going, stick whatever garbage I've got in that same pocket. And then at the end of the day, kind of just recycle. Do you like that more style? Are you like from what you were saying, are you just going the whole day where you're not wanting to stop and like take that minute to or 10, 30 minutes to sit and eat a meal? Or do you like to stop and sit for that period of time?
So what I've found, especially out here, if I'm hunting in the mountains, I'm nonstop. I'm go, go, go. I might sit for, a couple minutes here and there. Um, but out east, if you're out in the desert, you do a lot of glassing.
Yeah.
I think for sheep, you could relate. So I eat my lunch midday when I'm glassing
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's always a good idea to stop for a little while, even if you're just giving your back a break, set your pack down. You know, with the meals I bring, it doesn't take me more than 5 minutes to eat a meal.
Yeah.
So if I stop, give myself a break, or while I'm on the glass, um, it also depends because if you have a buddy with you and you guys are passing off glass time, because you're not bringing two spotting scopes if you bring two guys. So if one guy's on glass and the other guy's not, maybe the other guy's on binos or a rangefinder or whatever, um, that's a good time to eat a meal.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
the biggest thing is not forgetting to eat it because your body continuously burns calories just sitting here with your thermal makeup. Like as
Yeah.
your body keeps itself warm, you're burning calories. So when you're exerting yourself, you need to keep feeding your body throughout the day. So I do a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner, and each one of them, my breakfast and my dinner, are 2,000 calorie minimum of just the protein powder with some filler. And my lunch is usually something extremely lightweight, and I like to have some sugar in there. Um, so you can go. You're not gonna like this either. I'm a big fan of freeze dried fruit because it's lightweight,
It's not bad.
and
Um,
it'd be good in your oatmeal.
it would be gregreat. That's
But
a
freeze-dried
point.
fruit, you can just pop it in your mouth. You're getting the sugar, all the stuff that you need to keep your body going, and you get your
100%.
you get your protein and your calories for breakfast, get your protein and calories for dinner for, regen for the night, and then in the midday, I kinda like to snack throughout the day, so I do like to be able to eat on the go. I don't make a protein shake for lunch because it takes time to get your water out. Then mixing is actually fairly loud, whether you're shaking water or you're mixing in a cup. It's a little
Right.
louder than I wanna be. Uh,
Especially with elk. I know with sheep and stuff, sheep, you're not so worried about sound. Caribou, you're not worried about sound. Moose, you really are. But with elk, obviously, sound is a huge thing that you got to be careful of all the time.